I was his secret wife, until his fiancée found me. It was a slow, golden morning in Brooklyn. The kind of morning where the sun warms the hardwood floors, the coffee tastes just right, and you feel, for a second, like everything in your life is exactly where it should be. I was barefoot, wrapped in James's old gray t-shirt that smelled faintly of cedarwood and regret. My sketch pad lay open on the kitchen table, lines half drawn and forgotten. Steam curled from my mug as I stood by the window, watching the city stretch awake. I liked mornings like this, mornings where the lie felt almost bearable. For 3 years, I'd been married to James Whitmore, a successful, charming real estate executive, with a perfect smile and an allergy to the spotlight, or so he claimed. We eloped in upstate New York, just us, a justice of the peace, and a bouquet I picked up from a gas station. He said it had to be that way. My firm is traditional, he told me once, tracing circles on my back. If they knew I was married, it could mess things up. Just trust me. So I trusted him. I wore no ring. I never posted a photo. I signed our lease as Sarah L. and pretended to be his live-in girlfriend when anyone asked. We had our own version of normal. Dinners on Thursdays, weekend getaways when his schedule allowed, and long text threads that started with "miss you already." I told myself I was fine with it. Until that knock came. 3 sharp, deliberate taps. Not the kind that comes from a neighbor needing sugar or a package left downstairs. No, this one came with purpose. I opened the door. She was stunning, tall, sleek, everything crisp and composed. A navy coat buttoned to her throat, subtle gold hoops and a diamond ring that could cut glass. Her expression hovered between polite and tense. "Hi," she said, her voice smooth but edged. "Are you Sarah?" "Yes," I answered slowly. "Can I help you?" "I hope so," she replied. Then she dropped the bomb without flinching. "I'm James's fiancée." I blinked. I actually blinked, like a cartoon character trying to reboot. "I'm sorry, what?" Her lips curved, but it wasn't a smile. "James Whitmore, he proposed to me 6 months ago. Our wedding's in August." She said it like a fact. A business transaction. She reached into her purse and pulled out a phone. On the screen was a photo. James, in the same shirt he left here 2 weeks ago, beaming next to her on a boat somewhere tropical. Her hand, adorned with that ring, rested on his chest, and my stomach turned. "This has to be a mistake," I said, though I wasn't sure if I meant it or just hoped it. "I'm his wife." "I thought you might say that," she murmured. Then, "May I come in?" Everything inside me screamed no. But I stepped aside anyway. She walked in like she already knew what she'd find. The framed photo of James and me at a cabin upstate. His leather jacket slung over the armchair, the toothbrush still drying in the holder. I closed the door behind her, heart thudding. "You said your name was..." "Elena," she replied. "Elena Marshall. Elena." I repeated it like I was testing the weight of a gun in my hand. "And you really think you're marrying him?" "I know I am," she said calmly. "Unless you're telling me this is all a very elaborate prank." I didn't answer. I walked over to the drawer, pulled out the envelope we kept hidden behind our tax papers. From it, I took the marriage certificate. I handed it to her with fingers that no longer felt connected to my body. She studied it. Her brows drew together, but again, not in disbelief, in calculation. "How long?" she asked quietly. 3 years. A long breath escaped her lips. She sat down, on his side of the couch. "I've been with him for 2. We sat in silence. 2 women. 1 man. 1 apartment full of carefully managed lies. Finally Elena looked up, her voice trembling now, the edge slipping just enough to reveal the pain underneath. "I thought I was coming here to confront the other woman," she said. "Turns out I might be her." My throat burned. My hands were fists in my lap, but my voice came out cool. "Well," I said, "seems like we've both been living in a fairy tale." Elena looked at me, eyes glassy, and nodded once. "So what now?" I stared at her for a long moment, then stood. "Now," I said, You and I are going to burn his fantasy to the ground. The cafe smelled like cinnamon rolls and something far more bitter, truth. The bell above the door chimed softly as I walked in, hugging my coat tight around me despite the indoor warmth. It was a corner cafe, one of those cozy places where time slowed down, with chipped mugs, handwritten chalkboard menus and indie music playing just loud enough to drown out your thoughts. But mine were screaming anyway. Elena was already there. Seated at a small round table by the window, perfectly postured, one ankle crossed over the other. Her red lipstick was slightly faded now, her coat neatly folded on the back of her chair. She looked like someone who didn't unravel easily, and yet I could see the tension in her jaw, the way her fingers tapped against the ceramic cup like a ticking bomb. I slid into the seat across from her. Neither of us said anything for a long beat. A server appeared, all cheerful energy and oblivion. "Coffee?" "Black," I said. "Same," Elena replied. Silence returned the moment the server left, filling every inch of air between us. "I didn't sleep," I said finally. She looked at me. "Me neither." I reached into my bag and pulled out the envelope. My hands shook a little as I laid it on the table and pushed it toward her. Marriage license, signed, certified, real. Elena didn't touch it. She just stared at it like it might detonate. Then slowly she opened her purse and pulled out her own offering. A thick, creamy envelope with gold-embossed calligraphy. She slid it toward me. I opened it. Inside was an invitation. "James Whitmore and Elena Marshall invite you to celebrate their wedding." My name was nowhere on it. She followed it up with her phone. A photo of James on one knee, holding out the same diamond ring that now weighed down her finger. The setting was a rooftop terrace at sunset. A private dinner, champagne, her expression in the photo, joy so wide it nearly hurt to see. I placed my hand flat on the marriage license. "You still think I'm just a crazy ex?" She looked at me hard. I didn't want to believe it. "I thought maybe you were confused, obsessed." "Do I look obsessed?" I asked softly. "No," she said. "You look tired and angry." I gave a short, humorless laugh. "Welcome to the club." The coffee arrived. We both ignored it. Elena leaned back. "We got engaged 6 months ago. But we've been together for 2 years. 3 years for me," I said. "And the whole time I thought I was his only secret." She picked up her cup, sipped, set it down. "He told me he wasn't ready for marriage until he met me. Said I changed him." My jaw clenched. "He told me he'd marry me again, publicly, when his promotion came through. That was 2 years ago." She let out a shaky breath, pushing her hair back from her face. "You know what the worst part is?" I shook my head. "I was so proud," she whispered. "Of us, of him. I showed him off to everyone. My friends, my family, my boss." Her voice cracked. "And he was showing you nothing." We sat there surrounded by the low hum of conversation, the hiss of the espresso machine, the occasional clink of plates, while our whole realities quietly disintegrated. Elena looked down at her ring. "If he lied to both of us, what else is he hiding?" I stared at her, and then I said the words that would change everything. "You want to find out?" She met my eyes. A long, heavy pause, then a slow nod. "Yes," she said. "I do." The server returned with a refill. Neither of us looked up. "Then let's do it," I said. "Let's unravel him." Elena reached for her coffee, and for the first time since we met, I saw the corner of her mouth twitch up, not quite a smile. More like recognition. We weren't enemies, we were survivors of the same storm. We turned my living room into a war room. There were post-it notes on the walls, a corkboard layered with printouts and receipts, a color-coded calendar stretched across the coffee table, red for my timeline, blue for Elena's. And in the middle of it all, James Whitmore. In every photo he was smiling like a man who'd never been caught. "This is insane," Elena muttered, staring at the timeline. "You were with him in Lake Placid the same weekend he told me he had the flu. He sent me a photo of his thermometer." I glanced up. "And that was the same weekend I made him chicken soup and he said he was too sick to taste it." She exhaled hard, arms crossed, pacing the room like a trapped executive. He had this down to a science. I don't know if it was science, I said, pinning a receipt above a map, but it was definitely strategy. James had excuses for everything. Work trips, emergency meetings, client dinners, poor cell service, a boss who hated when employees had relationships. For 3 years I had eaten those excuses like they were gospel. Until now. Elena sat down beside me, flipping through one of the folders. He has no real digital footprint, barely any social media, barely any tagged photos. He's like, intentionally invisible. I nodded. He never let me tag him in anything. Said he didn't want nosy clients seeing his personal life. I thought that was kind of professional, she said. I thought it was kind of controlling. She glanced at me. Guess we were both a little blind. I gave her a small smile. Well, not anymore. We spent hours cross-referencing travel records, credit card statements, text logs, everything we had. Patterns started to emerge. He had favorite phrases, recycled gestures, even a preferred lie, "I'm flying back Monday, babe," which led us to a discovery neither of us were ready for. It was late. We were in Elena's car, parked outside his office, watching from a safe distance like amateur private investigators. Rain tapped gently against the windshield. Elena scrolled through his Venmo history. He paid someone named M. Rogers for a dinner at that French place in Midtown. Last Thursday. My stomach tightened. M. Rogers? She tapped again. A profile photo appeared. A woman with shoulder-length brunette hair laughing on a boat. "Michelle," I whispered. "That's not you, right?" She asked, already knowing the answer. I shook my head. No. We sat in stunned silence. James Whitmore wasn't just a two-faced liar. He was running a full rotation. "He's seeing her too," Elena said, voice flat. "Or worse. What if—" I couldn't say it, my throat closed. "What if she's another fiancée?" Elena finished. Her hands trembled on the wheel. Neither of us spoke for a long time. Then she slammed her palm on the dashboard. "I quit my job for him." I looked at her, startled. She didn't even blink. "I worked in finance. Midtown. I loved it. But he said we couldn't both be that busy, and he wanted me to start planning the wedding full-time. He wanted me to take a break. For us..." She was shaking now. Rage, heartbreak, maybe both. "I left a 6-figure job for a man who was sleeping with 2 other women." I reached over and touched her arm. "Elena." She looked at me, and for the first time, I saw something crumble in her. The Polish cracked. The composure broke. Her eyes welled up. "I'm such an idiot," she whispered. "You're not," I said firmly. "You believed someone who made it his mission to be believed. That's not on you." She blinked fast, wiped her cheek. "How are you so calm?" "I'm not," I admitted. "I'm compartmentalizing." "Badly?" She let out a half-laugh, half-sob. "God, we could write a book." I nodded. Working title, "How to Marry a Sociopath in 3 Easy Steps." That made her really laugh. It was short, a little broken, but real. Then I said it again, slower, steadier. "We're not his victims anymore." She inhaled like she was trying to believe me. "No, no, we're his reckoning." We called her Mandy. Blonde, 29, Pilates instructor, travel junkie, recently divorced, and, most importantly, looking for love. She was the woman James couldn't resist, because we built her from every lie he ever told. I created the profile at my co-working space, a bright, quiet loft in Brooklyn, filled with plants, dog-eared novels, and women who shared oat milk lattes and heartbreak stories like they were office memos. It was the perfect place to build a trap. Elena leaned over my shoulder as I typed, sipping an overpriced smoothie and smirking. "Make her into his fantasy," she said. "Oh, I am," I muttered, uploading a profile photo of a smiling blonde with beachy waves and a golden retriever. The bio read, "Lover of long hikes, red wine and emotionally available men. Recently divorced, not into games. Looking for something real." I hit publish. Within 5 hours, Mandy had a message. James, hey, gorgeous. I don't usually message first, but something about you? I stared at the screen in disbelief. He didn't even wait a day. Elena gave a low whistle. That's a record. I typed back as Mandy. That's sweet. You seem familiar. Do I know you from somewhere, James? Probably from your dreams. Followed by a winky emoji and a mirror selfie from what looked suspiciously like our bathroom. I showed it to Elena. Is that your towel rack? Yep, I said flatly. She burst out laughing, covering her mouth. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing, but this is insane. Insane is that he said he was out of town this weekend. Elena opened her camera roll and started screen recording everything, the chat, the profile, the photos he sent. Her expression was tight, but a tear escaped anyway. Are you okay? I asked. I'm furious, she said, and exhausted. But yeah, I'm okay. At least now I know. Later that night, we parked outside James's office in her car again, our new war room on wheels, watching as the building lights dimmed floor by floor. I'm telling you, Elena said, zooming in on the lobby directory through her camera. He told me he was a senior VP. Yeah, I replied, scrolling through the company's staff page on my laptop. But here he's listed as client liaison. That's not even close. He lied about his title. He lied about his life, Elena. We stayed there in silence, watching two people leave the building, neither of them James. The streetlights flickered as a warm wind passed through the trees lining the sidewalk. It felt like something was changing, like a storm was coming, and we were the ones calling it in. The next day, I met with my friend Tina at the print shop she managed downtown. Tina had known about James, the vague version of him I'd been allowed to share, and when I told her the whole story, she didn't gasp. She nodded, like she'd seen this movie too many times before. I want to make a presentation, I said. PowerPoint or Savage slideshow? I smiled, somewhere in between. Together we organized the data, screenshots from Mandy's chat, James's selfies with 3 different women, the marriage license, the wedding invite, his fake job title, even a screen grab of a LinkedIn endorsement he left for himself using a secondary account. Tina printed everything on glossy poster boards. It looked like a corporate pitch deck, if the product being sold was narcissistic betrayal. Back at my place, Elena stared at the final spread. This is brutal. Good, I said. He built his life on pretending. Let's show everyone what the reality looks like. She turned to me. You know he's going to say we're crazy? I nodded. Let him. That's why we don't just confront him, we make it public. One time, one room, one perfect burning moment. Her eyes narrowed. What are you thinking? I opened my laptop again and pulled up the reservation I'd made that morning. His favorite restaurant, I said. The one where he took you on your birthday, and me for our first anniversary? Her jaw dropped. He's planning your engagement dinner there next weekend, I added. I called. Said I was you. Said we wanted to surprise him with the slideshow. She stared at me, speechless. I smirked. Guess we will? The restaurant glowed like something out of a bridal magazine. Soft candlelight, pale flowers cascading from glass vases, velvet napkins folded into swans. It was the picture of luxury. Private, intimate, and dripping with elegance. The kind of place you reserve when you're trying to impress someone who already thinks the world of you. James had no idea it was his reckoning. I watched through the staff entrance, hidden behind a mirrored panel as he arrived, perfectly on time, of course. He wore a tailored navy suit, his jaw clean-shaven, hair slicked just enough to look effortless. He smiled as he held the door for Elena, who walked in on his arm like nothing was wrong. She was dazzling in a pale champagne dress, lips back to their signature crimson, eyes unreadable. You'd never guess the truth by looking at her. You look stunning, James said, placing a kiss on her temple. She smiled tightly. I know. The host led them to the private room in the back, the one James had booked himself weeks ago for their engagement shoot. It was his idea, actually. Romantic, he'd said. Exclusive. just the two of them. He got that part right. The room was candlelit, and in the center stood a projection screen, discreetly lowered. A Bluetooth remote waited by the floral centerpiece. Elena gestured to it. "I thought we could start with a little surprise," she said sweetly, slipping her arm from his. "Something you'll appreciate." James blinked. "Surprise?" "Mm-hmm." She handed him the remote and walked to the side of the room, taking her place near the exit. Her fingers brushed mine in passing. Steady. James turned toward the screen. The lights dimmed. Then, in bold white letters on a black background, came the first slide. "The women you lied to." He froze. The room just moments ago a curated paradise suddenly held a different tension, sharp, humming, click. Slide 1, a photo of me and James. Our wedding day. A courthouse, nothing grand but undeniable. His arm around me, a crooked smile, my eyes glowing, click. Slide 2, our marriage certificate. Click. Slide 3, the engagement photo with Elena, smiling on that rooftop, the same smile, the same hand on her back. Click. Slide 4, Michelle laughing on the boat. Her name. The dinner receipt. Slide 5, the Venmo logs, the LinkedIn lies, the job title that didn't exist. Slide 6, the Mandy chat, his flirty lines, the mirror selfie from my bathroom. And then, click, stepping into the light. He didn't even move at first, just stared at me as if I'd materialized from the screen itself. His lips parted, soundless. "Sarah?" he whispered, not confident, not charming, small. I smiled. "Hey, James." Elena remained against the wall, silent, watching. He looked between us, eyes wide now, panic blooming across his carefully curated face. What is this?" he asked, his voice cracking. "Oh," I said, stepping closer, "this is your private life. You always wanted to keep things quiet, remember?" James took a half step back, hand instinctively reaching toward Elena. She didn't move. "Okay, listen," he said quickly. This is not what it looks like." Elena finally spoke. "It looks like you were engaged to me while married to her, while dating Michelle, while flirting with Mandy." His mouth opened, closed. "I can explain." "Don't," I interrupted, "because we already did. We explained everything, with receipts." The screen behind me flicked off. The room was dim again, the only light coming from the table candles, flickering like the last remnants of his fake life. James turned to me, more desperate now. "Sarah, I was going to choose you." I let out a soft, incredulous laugh. "You already did. You chose yourself." He flinched. Elena reached for her glass of champagne, held it for a moment, then, with the same grace she'd carried all evening, dropped her engagement ring into it. The sharp plink echoed like a final nail in a very well-deserved coffin. She set the glass down in front of him and walked to the door. "You're free now," she said. "To be as alone as you made the rest of us feel." And then she left. I didn't say goodbye. I just turned and followed her out, not looking back even once. It's been 5 weeks since the night the lies unraveled. 5 weeks since James stood in a candlelit room with a slideshow of his own betrayals playing behind him, like the credits to a movie that was never real. He lost everything, fast. The story spread faster than I expected. A waiter filmed part of the presentation and uploaded it online. The comments were brutal. The hashtags trended for 3 days. Hashtag Whitmore wreck, hashtag secret why Fiancée the Fiancée strikes back. His company put him on leave, then let him go quietly. Michelle? Blocked him. Elena? Changed her number. Me? I didn't just block him, I deleted the entire thread. 3 years worth of texts gone with one swipe. That somehow hurt the most. Not because I wanted to keep them, but because I finally didn't. The apartment feels different now, lighter, quieter in the way peace is quiet, not absence. The framed photo of us is gone. So is the leather jacket on the armchair, the second toothbrush, the mug that said "World's Best Liar." I reclaimed the closet. And my time. Instead of waiting for someone to text me when they were back from the airport, I started writing. At first it was just journaling. But then I opened a blog. I called it Instinct First. It's a space for women like me. Women who felt something was wrong but were told to ignore it, who got gaslighted into silence. I share stories, advice, warnings, encouragement, and it's growing fast. Apparently, a lot of us have been someone's secret. I posted about James once, anonymously, and the responses poured in. Messages from women who married ghosts, who dated men with 3 phones, who shared their lives with liars wrapped in tailored suits. I never wanted to be a poster child for heartbreak. But if I can be a flashlight for someone else stumbling through the same kind of darkness, I'll take it. I believe her, she sounds free. As for me, I'm not over it. But I'm through it. Tonight I walk alone. It's cold but not too cold. The kind of night where the wind brushes against your skin like a reminder you're still here. You made it. The bridge I walk on is lit with golden streetlights. Beneath me, the river moves steady and indifferent. A couple passes me, holding hands, whispering something that makes them both laugh. I smile, not bitterly, just humanly. The city is loud, alive, and uncaring, but for the first time in a long time, I don't feel invisible in it. I don't feel hidden. I stop in the center of the bridge and rest my hands on the rail. Look out at the dark, shifting water. He said he needed to hide me to protect his career. I shake my head, almost laughing. Funny. I was the only real thing he ever had. And now I'm my own secret. And I don't plan on keeping it.